Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Conquerors Blade. So, Cavalry, is it any good? So, traditionally, kind of right back when we hit back first into open beta, or not long after that, I kind of didn't get on very well with Cavalry. I kind of found them, well, not particularly great. I struggled with them in sieges because you kind of have to line them up nicely to get decent charges off and stuff like that. And I never quite grasped the concept of that at the time. And so I didn't really like them. I just kind of said, I didn't think they were very good. Okay in field battles, but not very good in sieges. Obviously, since then, while I've not really done much cavalry playing, as you can see, I've really only just gone down the Courtiers. I've unlocked the first row of the chivalric eras, but I've not even gone down to like the yeoman or anything like that, or the prefecture heavy cav yet, because I've just been focused mostly on the infantry. But obviously, I have come across cav a lot more in battles, and obviously, it's pretty clear how effective a cav charge can be, even in sieges. Going down a narrow alleyway, something like that, you can score a real good bunch of kills and really break up attack or win an attack. It can be a real game-changing unit. So I've kind of been putting a bit more time into it recently, but mostly focusing on the Courtiers. Down here, these guys level 12 now. Got a little bit more to go with them. But these are the only sort of lance or spear type cavalry at this tier. Because if we go back to the tech tree, if I can press the right button, which I normally can't, you'll see we've got the Iron Cap Scouts, which kind of act as like a little bit of a sword cavalry. They do get a charge later on down their veterancy line, somewhere around here. Yes, I think that's like level 7 or something like that. So they can get a charge, but really the Courtiers are the only charging unit for the initial starting cavalry, and they work really well. They get quite a nice charge from the start, and it really does quite a good amount of damage, and with the Lancers they kind of hit nice and early and score the damage there. I'm not really counting the Bow Riders for this video. They're an anomaly. They're a bit strange. They have their moments actually, but overall pretty crap unit. We'll cover them in a separate video probably. But for now, for this one, we're going to be focusing on the Courtiers. In terms of the veterancy route I've been going, I wanted the charge damage. There's things like increased health, 2 more soldiers, resupply costs and stuff. You don't want to be going down here. You want to be going down the top tree, because mostly it's there's little bits down here like the arrowhead formation, which is kind of nice. But most of the stuff, a little bit of cooldown, is you're going to get 14% increased charge from that, and then a 22% increased charge for the final one. That's going to be giving you sort of a really good sort of 34% bonus to the amount of charge damage. That'll make a real difference. That will mean you're starting to hit much higher scores when these guys charge into enemy units. So that's kind of why I'm working on there. Only 3 more levels to go actually before I get them. I would assume these guys max out at 15, which they actually do. I've not got any doctrines on them currently. I suppose it wouldn't be unreasonable to put something on if I have anything of use. I don't really care about personal defense, slashing defense, piercing defense. Well, I have a lot of defense ones. And if we look at their veterancy to see their unit, because obviously we know they have the Lancers, then it's the piercing damage they are doing. You can see the piercing armor penetration quite high, and the piercing damage is kind of where it's at. I think they'll probably actually benefit from a piercing damage doctrine, but I don't have one, so I can't put that on. Anyway, let's hop into a few clips with these guys. Mostly just kind of looking at the charges, trying to line the charges up. That's the thing I find hardest to do. Getting a clean charge that goes in the direction I want, I find probably the biggest problem with these guys. But I've been practicing it a bit, and I'm slowly starting to get the hang of it. So I shall see you all in the battle. Into our first battle, and we are losing the A point. I've just been killed, and I was coming back, and I see there's quite a fight going on in the tunnel. I thought, this is an opportunity. Start to get them lined up straight and go for a charge straight down the centre of the tunnel. Actually, it goes pretty well. We clip it at quite a few, and you see we get quite a good amount of damage, get quite a few kills quite quickly on quite high tier units, because there's quite a lot of Imperials and stuff in that tunnel. This is one of the problems I do have with Cav though, is what to do with them post-charge. I can call them back to me and set them to attack, which is what I actually did. And you see they just go around stabbing people. It's not tremendously effective, but they do actually rack up a reasonable amount of damage, and they actually got me a few extra kills and helped clear out the tunnel. I could have just pulled them straight back through, but then I find I take quite a lot of losses sort of at that point. But beyond this, I still took too many. The unit was down to 6, and once it kind of gets this low, I find they're really not very effective for a lot of else, so I actually went back and changed them out at the supply point to a different unit. The second fight, similar sort of situation. In a siege, we are defending. We've lost the A point on Desert Fort, and as I come out, I just round this corner and I see a massive fight going on with quite a good clump of enemies, and I got super excited. You can almost feel the rushing in my movements. We managed to get lined up. get the charge off. A lot of the stuff actually moves and clears the corner just in time, which is really unfortunate. We clip a few things as we go through. And we actually get these pike militia coming after, which I was thinking, oh, I'm dead here now. Thankfully, a friendly cav charge comes through and actually clears us a way for us to escape. So I take that as my opportunity to dash back out of the that supply point there and try and make for a little bit of safety, which we do. We're down to 13 man units, so we took some losses, but nothing catastrophic. Still got a decent strength unit. And then I'm looking around, seeing what I do. My charge is coming off cooldown, and we've got these unit of archers. So I get my cav lined up. I go in to engage the longsword to try and stop him from being able to reposition his archers, and we get a lovely clean charge straight through those archers. That was really nice, really pleased with that. And then any who survived got hit by a second friendly cav charge that came around the back, so they had a bit of a rough time of it. But again, units now pretty diminished. We've taken casualties. Various archers been shooting at them and stuff like that. We just finish off that hero, but that pretty much spells the end of this unit. Because again, once they get so diminished like this, I find it really quite hard to get any effective cav charges off. Once the unit's sort of below 30-40% health, then yeah, I find that their effectiveness really drops off quite heavily. And that was kind of the case with this unit, which ended up really not achieving too much beyond this. So I ended up going back to swap them out in the end to get a different unit. But that's kind of how I find with cav. It's not so much getting the high kill rates, it's the instantaneous amount of high kills. It's the ability to turn up into a situation and get 30 kills within a second, because that clears a path for your team, and that's what I think is important. In this case, we'd only just captured the A point, and we're pushing down off the walls. Not many of our team are turned up at this point, and I know there's quite a few juicy targets there, which I was tempted to go for, but I couldn't really see if there's any pikes. And with being no friendly support around, I thought the odds of us getting a clean charge off without getting shot by fire arrows, stopped by pikes, or just people moving, I thought was pretty unlikely. Because I find cav are so much more effective at charging into ongoing fights. So when there's a fight ongoing, you then charge in and you wipe out all the enemies who are in that fight. I find them to be that much more effective. Which is kind of what goes on here. You can see there's friendly troops turning up and enemy troops. And we get our charge off down this sort of narrow corridor. You can see we get a really good number of kills really quite quickly, and wipe out a lot of the enemy units. Obviously, we don't kill everyone, and that's something I'm looking forward to, getting that increased charge damage, because I think we would get a lot more kills in this sort of situation when we get that. But then again, I call my unit back to me and start using them just to sort of cut down some of the enemies. Remember, a lot of them are, because they're calling back from behind the enemy, they actually get quite a few crits because they end up stabbing enemies in the back and things like that. I can actually do okay in hand-to-hand combat. You just take losses accordingly. And that's kind of what I was thinking about here now, is what do I want to do? Down to an 8-man unit, some of who are very low health. It's kind of teetering on the edge of whether this is a useful unit anymore. I wish the arrowhead formation would go to the tip rather than the base when your unit's half health, though, rather than being in that wide formation. I wish they'd stay narrow. And here's kind of where I screw it up. I come down here thinking if I could flank, and then I was thinking, oh, some units, they turn around this corner. I'm too close, I charged too late, and you see the charge doesn't pick up any momentum, and so they get stopped just by the squires, and that's it, boom, dead. And then a lot of stuff turns up, and I get flattened really rather quickly, and that kind of spells the end of the battle for me. So that really about sums up my opinion on cavalry. While I don't think you're going to be getting humongous amounts of kills, I don't think you're going to be getting the 200-300 kills you can get with some infantry units. I think it's their ability to get kills instantaneously. And while you can on occasion get those really high scores, although it always seems to be whenever I'm not recording, which is kind of annoying, I think it's their ability to get those 30 guaranteed kills in a charge straight away, within a second. And that's what makes them the ultimate kind of breakthrough unit. It's when you're trying to fight on to the supply point in a siege, and there's a unit of 30 Imperial Spear Guards blocking the entire team up. You can get in there, get that cav charge out, and wipe that unit out. And particularly as these are quite a low tier unit, you can kill higher tier units quite easily. And it's that ability to kill fast and to break through, so to allow your team to push on and progress, which I think makes cavalry a good unit, rather than their sort of ability to get a high amount of kills. It's the speed in which they can get the kill. At least for me, in my opinion, is what makes them quite good. But anyway, I really need to think about trying to push on to some of the higher tier cavalry units. I'd really like to get onto things like the yeomans, and then maybe push on to eventually to the winged hussars, although that's quite a way in the future, I think. because I'd like to see kind of the difference between the higher tier and the lower tier cavalry, kind of how much extra damage you get in a charge and stuff like that. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. As always, do let me know what you think about this video in the comments down below. Hopefully it's been enjoyable. Of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conquerors Blade content, and I shall see you guys all on the next video.